It's Friday, October 2nd, and welcome to the reading of the Mansfield News Journal. Let's begin today with the area deaths. Louise Ann Kleeman, age 99, passed away Wednesday, September 30th at the Willows in Willard. Private family services will be held at the Barkdall Funeral Home and Crematory. And this concludes the reading of the area deaths for Thursday. So let's move on to our first article. John Boyle Jr. up for parole in October, by Lou Whitmire. John F. Boyle Jr., the former medical doctor convicted of murdering his wife in Mansfield's trial of the century 30 years ago, is scheduled for a parole hearing this month. Boyle, 77, was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison for aggravated murder and 18 months for abuse of a corpse. He was admitted to the Ohio prison system on July 6, 1990, and stripped of his medical license. Police believe that on New Year's Eve, 1989, Boyle killed his wife, Noreen, striking her in the head and then suffocating her by putting a plastic bag over her head. Authorities obtained search warrants partly on the word of their children, according to News Journal archives, and Noreen's body was recovered on January 25, 1990, under the basement floor of Boyle's new home in Erie, Pennsylvania. Noreen Boyle had filed for divorce in November 1989 after 22 years of marriage, charging extreme mental cruelty and gross neglect. The couple had an adopted daughter, 3-year-old Elizabeth, and a son, Collier, who was 12 at the time of the trial and was a key witness for the prosecution. Boyle's hearing at the Marion Correctional Institution is scheduled for October 29th, according to Jo Ellen Smith, spokeswoman for the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. Boyle had one prior parole board hearing on December 7th, 2010, and was denied parole by the Ohio Parole Board. The parole board, in its 2010 decision, stated that Boyle killed his wife during an argument New Year's Day 1990 by suffocation and blunt force trauma to the head, per the autopsy. He then loaded her in a trunk after telling children that their mother had left them and drove her body to a house in Pennsylvania he had just purchased, used a rented jackhammer and cement to bury her nude body in the basement, wrapped in plastic with a bag on her head. The parole board stated that Boyle denied for years that he killed his wife and now only takes responsibility for her death by pushing her, causing her to hit her head, not with prior calculation and design. Boyle claimed he left the room and when he returned, performed CPR on his wife for 15 to 30 minutes without summoning medical help, according to the parole board. Release at this time would not further the interest of justice and would demean the seriousness of the brutal crime, the parole board concluded in 2010. Boyle's son, who goes by the name of Collier Landry, was only 11 at the time of the murder and proved to be a key witness for the prosecution. He made a documentary film in 2017, A Murder in Mansfield, about the prominent osteopath in what was referred to as the local trial of the century. Landry did not return a request for comment for this article. People wishing to submit a written statement concerning Boyle's hearing may send a statement to the Ohio Parole Board, Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, 4545 Fisher Road, Suite D, Columbus, Ohio, 43228. The letter must include the offender's name and inmate number, which is A222633, on any correspondence, according to the ODRC. Well, another man gets 5 to 7.5 years in prison in an assault case, by Lou Whitmire. A 26-year-old Mansfield man was sentenced to 5 to 7.5 years in prison Thursday after pleading guilty to felonious assault, domestic violence, and 2 misdemeanor assaults. Xavier Sutton entered the pleas via video from Richland County Jail during a change of hearing in Richland County Common Pleas Court for 2 incidents that occurred with the same victim in August 2019 and January of this year. The felonious assault charge is a second-degree felony. The domestic violence charge is a fourth-degree felony, and the 2 assault charges are first-degree misdemeanors. Sutton was charged with domestic violence and felonious assault in the first case, stemming from an August 3, 2019 incident on Ferndale Avenue, in which Sutton was alleged by authorities to have gotten into an argument with a female victim. Sutton threw something at her and hit her in the nose, breaking her nose and requiring surgery, Richland County Common Pleas Judge Brent Robinson said. Robinson said the maximum sentence for a charge of felonious assault is 8 to 12 years, with a maximum fine of $15,000 and a maximum post-release control of 3 years. Robinson said the Richland County Prosecutor's Office and the defense attorney, in an agreed sentence, recommended him to 5 to 7.5-year prison sentence. In the other court case against Sutton, Robinson said Sutton was charged with multiple counts of felonious assault and gun specifications, with some of the charges dismissed by the prosecutor. It all relates to an incident on January 17th where the victim was at a house at 123 Arthur Avenue. You came over there. There was an argument. They say you came over and you left, and at some point later on, somebody came back and shot into the house, Robinson said. Robinson said the problem with that case is nobody can identify who the shooter was. Robinson said the state asked for a plea from Sutton to a 4th-degree felony domestic violence, punishable by a maximum 18-month prison sentence, maximum $5,000 fine, and 3-year post-release control, and a plea to 2 misdemeanor assaults. The 2 first-degree misdemeanor assaults charges come with a maximum of 6 months jail and a maximum $1,000 fine, with prison and jail time required by law to be run at the same time, the judge told Sutton. The News Journal earlier reported that Mansfield police responded to 123 Arthur Avenue after the report of a person shot and found numerous subjects inside the residence. Patrol officers located a female who was suffering from a gunshot wound in the kitchen, the statement said. Witnesses stated that the female had been in an argument with a male shortly before the shots were fired, the statement said. Thursday morning, Robinson said a new law change on March 22, 2019, is presumed Sutton will get out of prison in 5 years. That's what's supposed to happen unless you don't behave yourself in prison, Robinson said. If you don't behave yourself in prison, get in trouble, don't follow the rules, the prison can actually keep you up to 7.5 years, Robinson said. They can keep you longer than 5 years based upon your behavior in the institution, and they don't have to come and ask me about that, Robinson said. When asked by Robinson if he wanted to make a statement, Sutton said only that he was sorry. Sutton's defense attorney, James Mayer III, said his client from the onset accepted responsibility that his temper got the best of him, and in the first case, threw a deodorant container across the room which struck the victim and caused serious injury. Mayer asked that Sutton's fines be suspended and credit for jail time be given. The judge said he hadn't planned to fine Sutton. By law, Sutton is entitled to credit for jail time served. A representative from the prosecutor's office, Olivia Boyer, said Mansfield Police Detective J. Mark Perry worked extremely hard on canvassing the neighborhood about 6 times, trying to get someone to come forward. The cooperation from the victim was unpredictable. I think she's in a difficult spot being as young as she is and enduring the abuse she has, and figuring out what to do being a mother of 2 small children, Boyer said. She said the prosecutor's office had a witness statement indicating Sutton made a statement he was going to come back and shoot up the house after the initial domestic violence. The house was subsequently shot up, she said, with the defendant's children and other children inside the house. Mayer said everything connected to the shooting on Arthur Avenue was dismissed. The victim did not wish to make a statement, the victim's advocate told Robinson. Moving on to our next article. Bar and restaurant owners want to fully reopen sites, by Al Lawrence. Richland County bar and restaurant owners say they should be allowed to be fully open during the hours allowed under their state liquor permits. A group of 6 owners and operators met Tuesday with the Richland County Commissioners to present statistics and arguments they hope the board can use to convince Governor Mike DeWine to immediately remove the 10 p.m. restriction on the sale of alcohol that was issued in late July to help fight the coronavirus pandemic. We've complied with everything they've asked, and now there's this task force coming at us and trying to monitor our business and keep us in check, for lack of a better term, said Tom Zellner, owner of the Warehouse Tavern in Mansfield and the person who spearheaded the group. It's becoming catastrophic for our businesses in this region. We've done our best to comply with all the social distancing requirements they have given us, and we just want to know where the science is behind this 10 o'clock. Zeller presented a petition with the signatures of 32 bar and restaurant owners and operators that were gathered over 2 days, asking for action and showing their decrease in revenues since the COVID crisis. Figures ranged from 20% to 60% loss compared to last year. No specific dollar amounts were reported. The owners and operators pointed out that their busiest hours usually had been from 10 p.m. to 2:30 a.m., with many customers not starting to come in until 9:30 p.m. In addition to lost liquor sales, they said they've lost revenue from jukebox play and other coin-operated revenue, while employees are out tip money. They also said band members who had been scheduled to perform have lost money because of the reduced hours. We lost every final Friday. That is huge for every bar and restaurant downtown. The trickle-down effect is unbelievable, said one owner-operator. Those in attendance also said the early sales cutoff is causing binge drinking because customers have no time to migrate to other establishments. One person said customers will order 3 or 4 drinks so they can have them before the 10 p.m. sales cutoff. The group pointed out that there are a number of programs provided by the Ohio Liquor Control Commission to teach tavern owners and alcohol servers to recognize when they should stop serving an intoxicated guest. They've trusted us the entire time we've been licensed and serving alcohol to be responsible. But now I don't understand how we failed to be responsible moving forward, another owner said. The owners and operators petition points out they have complied with distancing orders by removing tables for 6-foot separation, using plexiglass shields and masks, placing hand sanitizer around the premises, constantly wiping and sanitizing, reducing occupancy, and installing barriers between tables. They ask commissioners to support their request that the restrictions be ended immediately or at a minimum when they run out on November 1st. Establishments will have the opportunity to operate as their state licensures allow. Commissioner Marilyn John said she has talked with someone in the industry who told her that at least 14% of the restaurants that closed because of the epidemic are closed permanently. The state says 98% of the state is open. Most of those here say it's not, she said. In other business, commissioners approved a memo of agreement, or an MOA, with the Ohio State Preservation Office on a mitigation involving a roof replacement project at Dayspring, the county's assisted living facility. The memo of agreement allows officials to begin restoration work on a 19th century laundry outbuilding in exchange for using asphalt shingles to replace the slate roof on the main building, which is on the National Register of Historic Places. Dayspring Director Michelle Swank told the board that the facility was awarded $100,000 in federal community development block grant funds to help cover the nearly $400,000 cost of the new asphalt roof that would have the appearance of slate. However, the Ohio Historical Society reviewed the project and determined replacing the slate with asphalt would constitute an adverse effect on the historic nature of the building. We had 3 options at that point: reject the $100,000 and do the project ourselves, put the slate roof on, which was just under $900,000, or seek mitigation. So we went through mitigation, Swank said. On a separate issue, commissioners agreed to use COVID relief funds to digitize 359 indexes, appearance dockets, and journals from 1900 through 1996 in the clerk's office, so everything is in one place and easier for her employees and the public to access. The main concern during a meeting last week with Clerk of Courts Lynn Frey was whether the work could be completed by the December 30th federal deadline. After meeting Tuesday with Frey and a representative of the company that will do the scanning and digitizing, the board agreed that any work not completed by the deadline will be paid out of the clerk's computerization account and, if necessary, a county records center account. And next, Tupps is sentenced on a misdemeanor charge by George Bucyrus. by George Goebel. In Bucyrus, after a jury found him not guilty of felony counts, former Crawford County Sheriff's Deputy Jason Tupps was sentenced Tuesday on a misdemeanor charge. On August 7th, at the end of a 4-day trial, jurors found Tupps, 45, guilty of first-degree misdemeanor falsification, punishable by up to a $1,000 fine and as many as 180 days in jail. He was found not guilty of 6 other charges, including felony counts of abduction, bribery, and improper handling of a firearm in a motor vehicle, and of misdemeanor counts of operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs, using a weapon while intoxicated, and aggravated menacing. At a hearing Tuesday, visiting judge Robert Pollux sentenced the Galion resident to 120 days in jail on the falsification charge, with all but 45 days suspended, provided the defendant agrees to complete a 3-day driving intervention program, according to court administrator Annette Johnson. Tupps will receive credit for 21 days served. He will be placed on an informal probation for 1 year and required to pay court costs and a $400 fine. The original charges against Tupps, abduction, a 3rd-degree felony, improper handling of a firearm, a 4th-degree felony, and operating a vehicle under the influence, using a weapon while intoxicated, and aggravated menacing, all 1st-degree misdemeanors, stemmed from a July 9, 2018 incident in Galion. Tupps was arrested after a traffic altercation that occurred just outside Galion city limits. When the other driver sped away from the scene, the off-duty deputy pursued, eventually detaining the suspect while waiting for backup. When Galion police officers arrived at the scene, they found the Crawford County Sheriff's deputy pointing his pistol at a woman who was lying on the ground. In police body cam video shown during the trial, Tupps told fellow officers that the incident was alarming to him because of his work as a correction officer at the county jail. Responding officers believe they detected a slight odor of alcohol emanating from somewhere on Tupps' person, so they placed him under arrest. The falsification charge was filed August 2018. In March, a charge of bribery, a 3rd-degree felony, was added to his original indictment when Tupps was accused of trying to bribe a witness. Tupps resigned from his job at the sheriff's office in August of 2018. Let's talk about the most wanted. In Mansfield, drugs are back in this week's edition of the Most Wanted. And Antoine Bentley, 36, is wanted on a charge of conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance. He has ties to Mansfield. Bentley's 5'9", weighs 170 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes. Bryce Stokes, 25, is wanted on a charge of failure to register as a sex offender. He has ties to Mansfield, Sandusky, and Port Clinton. Stokes is 6 feet tall and 180 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes. Jeffrey Saran, 31, is back again, being sought for failure to register as a sex offender. He has ties to Mansfield. Saran is 6'3" and 170 pounds. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of any of the fugitives is asked to call the Richland County Division of the Northern Ohio Violent Fugitive Task Force at 419-774-3565 or 866-4-WANTED. People also can text the keyword WANTED and send a tip to 847-411. Or you can go to a link at the usmarshals.gov/district/OH-N/fugitives. Reward money is available, but tipsters also can remain anonymous. And now, Shelby student lobbies to have dance by Mark Cottle. Kelsey Weaver made an impassioned plea at Shelby's school board meeting on Monday night. The high school senior and vice president of student council lobbied for some sort of a homecoming dance. Concerns about the COVID-19 pandemic have limited school activities and even in-school learning. So many things have been deleted from our senior years, Weaver said, reading from a prepared statement. We're missing out on so many things, and we're asking for this. We're not asking for a miracle. We're just asking you to work with us. Shelby will have a homecoming parade at 7 p.m. Wednesday, followed by a crowning ceremony at W.W. Skiles Field to begin about 30 minutes after the parade. Weaver called a homecoming dance a rite of passage for students, as well as an event for the entire community. She said she understands COVID-19 restrictions to a certain point and questions why weddings up to 300 people are allowed. Weaver offered some possible concessions to be able to have a homecoming dance, including limiting the dance to seniors and their dates. She assured board members the students would wear masks and follow safety protocols. Weaver said the dance could include bottled drinks instead of a punch bowl. All I'm asking for is guidance, she said. Superintendent Tim Tarvin praised Weaver for showing leadership. This is what we're trying to teach you to do. Stand up for what you believe in, Tarvin said. Board members took no immediate action. After the meeting, Weaver said she and some of her classmates have been kind of bummed out. Weaver is a cheerleader, but she can't cheer at any football games because COVID-19 restrictions limit the number of people who can attend. At the same time, she said she is grateful for what she and her classmates can do, including attending school in person rather than online. Board members voted 4-0. Lynn Friebel was absent to approve the district's bleacher project with Garmin Miller for bleachers at the existing track and future site of the football field. This clears the path for Garmin Miller to continue to do the work, Tarvin said. The bleachers will be up by March, barring something unforeseen. Last month's board members approved using $244,000 from the general fund to disassemble 3,000 seats from Mansfield Motor Speedway. The seats, courtesy of track owner and Shelby philanthropist Grant Milron, will be used for the home side. The district is taking only the wings, which were not covered by the press box, cutting the number of seats in half. Tarvin previously said it would cost $518,000 to transport the bleachers and put them back up. Tarvin also told the board about an October 23rd groundbreaking ceremony for the forthcoming pre-K through 8 school building. He said limitations for crowd size will be put into place. We're really getting down to the nitty-gritty, choosing color options for each pod, Assistant Superintendent Paul Walker added. Tarvin noted students already are in their 6th week of school. I don't want to jinx us, but things are going remarkably well, he said. Treasurer Barb Donahue, in her report, told board members that the Ohio Department of Taxation denied a bid by Rover Pipeline to lower its tax bills. The company claims assessments were too high. Donovan said Rover waited until the last possible day to file an appeal, and a hearing is scheduled for May 10, 2021. We will not know anything until then, she said. Rover owes the Shelby District $2.5 million. In other business, the board approved May 23rd as the date for graduation. I'm hoping like crazy we can go back to a more traditional graduation ceremony, high school principal John Geis said. Accepted a $10,000 grant from the United Fund of Shelby for Shelby City Schools in response to the pandemic. The Gallion Historical Society membership drive gets underway. The Gallion Historical Society is holding its 2020 membership drive this month. Any person or family joining the Historical Society at the $25 plus level will be entered into a weekly drawing for gift cards from local businesses. If joining by referral of a current member, that person will also be entered into the weekly drawings. All Gallion Historical Society members will be invited to a sneak peek event in 2021 at the Historical Society's new museum location, the Hayden Helfrich Annex, that features large equipment artifacts with a focus on Gallion's industrial heritage. All members of the Society receive a quarterly newsletter, which features stories and photos of Old Gallion, as well as news on upcoming events. For information about how to become a member, go to gallionhistory.com memberships. Check or cash memberships can be sent to P.O. Box 125, Gallion, Ohio 44833. And how about some local briefs? The Richland Public Health plans drive-through flu shot clinic. The Richland Public Health will hold a drive-through flu vaccine clinic for Richland County residents from 1 to 4 p.m. on October 13th at the Richland County Fairgrounds. Everyone will stay in their own vehicle and must wear masks unless under the age of 2. Multiple people in one car may get their flu vaccine, but paperwork will be needed for each individual. Richland Public Health nurses will be available on both sides of each vehicle to give the proper vaccine doses to each person after gathering documentation. Richland Public Health recommends everyone aged 6 months and older get an influenza vaccine. This recommendation follows the Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines. Flu vaccines are free, there's no copay, when using participating insurances accepted by Richland Public Health. Please bring your insurance card and a photo ID. Richland Public Health's cost for flu vaccines vary depending on age and the type of vaccine used. Richland Public Health flu vaccines will also be available by appointment after the October 13th drive-through clinic. For additional information about influenza, visit richlandhealth.org or talk with your pediatrician or family physician. For special homebound services, you can call 419-774-4540. Sewer repairs, 4th Street closure. Mansfield, West Williams Avenue in Mansfield has been closed to allow crews to repair a sewer main. The street is expected to reopen by the end of the workday on Wednesday, barring any unanticipated problems. Traffic is advised to plan an alternate route to avoid possible delays. In Columbus, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, or the ODNR, is reminding Ohioans that state law prohibits outdoor debris burning in unincorporated areas from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. during October and November. Burning is limited in the fall due to the abundance of dry grass, weeds, and leaves on the ground. Gusty winds and low humidity can make a seemingly safe fire burn more intensely and escape control. If a fire does escape control, immediately contact the local fire department. Residents should check Ohio Environmental Protection Agency's open burn regulations prior to any outdoor fire and consult with local fire officials about burning conditions in the area. Food waste, dead animals, and materials containing rubber, grease, asphalt, or petroleum should never be burned. Violators of Ohio's burning regulations are subject to citations and fines. The ODNR Division of Forestry offers these safety tips for burning debris outdoors. Use a 55-gallon drum with a weighted screen lid to provide an enclosed incinerator. Know current and future weather conditions. Have tools and water on hand. And never leave a debris burn unattended. Well, friends, this concludes the reading of the Mansfield News Journal for Friday, October 2nd. You please stay safe until we meet here again. Be blessed and do what you can do to make Friday a great day.